Hello, this is Compound Interest Stock Guy, and today in this video I'm going to be talking about the cannabis industry. This is Legalization 2.0. This is anniversary from Legalization 1.0, so stay tuned for this special episode. I also want to disclose I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for entertainment, information purposes. Do not buy or sell based on anything I talk about in this video. Buy or sell after research, due diligence, and you like the investments you're pursuing or selling. So, yeah. Basically, today was a pretty big day. I went to Burb last night. I just uploaded that video. Harvest One, shout out to them. And Burb, they're doing really good things. I think that Burb retail brand is going to be very epic in the future. Just 2 locations now. But, look at, it's just going to take shape. It'll be bigger and better in the future. So today Hexo made a big move. Tilray came up a bit, and some other companies were coming up. Metapharm Labs was coming up. It's just basically what's going on in the sector. There's a lot of hype that's just being reignited. You look at it as a fire. Okay, I'm gonna do another. These are Helly Hansen, Took, FR, right? And you got the fire, right? The fire just being lit. Okay, you look at, I went camping this summer, right? And I was in the rain, and it was just pouring, stormy weather, and it was just cloudy, stormy, and it was getting poured on. Hard to start a fire, right? The fire just wants to go out all the time, right? That's been happening for the last 6 to 7 months. Every time there's a fire, it just wants to go out. So it's really hard to start a fire and keep it going, right? So when I start a fire, I just have to focus on it really hard and keep it going, right? And this is the fire. So the fire is being ignited back into the sector. I do truly believe that is what's happening right now. There's a lot of big things that are happening. You look at NBev. They got a deal with Nestea, I believe. And, that used to be Coca-Cola brand. So they're going to do those products. I mean, who knows if they're going to start doing CBD and THC products with those. This is just a new generation. You look at how big Monster and Red Bull have become in the industry, in sectors, and vitamin water and all these big brands, and they came about, and it took a long time, but they're eventually big. And now we're looking at Legalization 2.0, and now there's no limit on how much CBD you can have on your beverages, right? So that's gonna add a lot of hype to things like the CBD health and wellness on the recreational side, when you can buy CBD beverages with 100 milligrams in CBD, and it tastes really good. That's gonna add a lot of hype. Those products are just working through the funnel, and they're gonna be out in the end of December. I was doing some heavy research last night. I didn't sleep much. I was very excited for, Legalization 2.0. And, I also been working night shift for a long time, so it's pretty normal for my schedule. Now, you look at, so Diageo did about, I think, $16 billion in revenue. And then they did $4 billion in net income, in 2018. And, that's the kind of industry that we're getting into. So if you look at the top companies that are profitable right now, that's about like 50 million almost in net income or operational income on a quarterly basis. So that's close to about $250 million, right? And, the alcohol industry is a $1 trillion industry. So eventually this cannabis industry will be a $1 trillion industry. So, look, I made a video a long time ago about how in 2043 it's going to be a $1 trillion industry. I left a comment in Rich TV's video, like very, very long-winded about some information. I can tell he's kind of using that information in one of his videos, which is fine by me. But, I just want to get credit when credit's due is all I'm trying to say. A lot of information that comes out of my brain doesn't really get out there. So I'm fine with just like leaving a comment and someone who's a bigger YouTuber than me, so they get the message to more people, because people got to believe in this industry if it's going to survive. So basically, if you're looking at Anheuser-Busch, they did $16 billion in net income, and I think it was somewhere around there. They're like a 15 PE ratio, and they're like about a $200 billion company. So that's the industry that we're going to get into. So I mean, basically right now, Canopy's around like a $7 or $8 billion market cap, and then you got all these other companies that are like 2-3 billion, or Aurora's about 5 billion. So eventually, these companies are going to be 30 and 40 and 50 billion dollar companies, and they're going to be worth their money in ink, with all that profitability, right? Like when you're doing $2 billion in net income per year, and you're based on a 25 PE ratio, then you're worth a $50 billion market cap, right? So it's not going to happen overnight. Trust me, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time for the industry to get bigger and better, but and grow into different areas. But I think what's coming about is, it's going to start kind of creating a lot of hype in different countries. The world's watching us. They're watching how we're going about our regulations and legalization, and they want to be intelligent about making their their regulations and their legalizations. So they don't want to just go out about it without thinking about the consequences. So they're watching us. We're guinea pig towards the world. So that's why they're being very strict. But if there, I can see like UK's starting to get bigger, and like South America is just there's some countries that are just going to start to get revenues, and I mean it's been very small on the global scale, but watch 2020. There's Afria and Aurora has 1,000 kilogram tender for growing medical cannabis in Germany. So that's probably like an $8 to $12 per gram, and so that's like an $8 to $12 million contract. And then International Cannabis, WRLD, which was got all the assets from Wayland, as far as I know. That the assets are now on World's books, but I could be wrong because there's been lack of disclosure. But the Demican had won 3 lots, and Wayland owned 50% of them, and that was for 3 lots of 600 kilograms at their facility. And that's 600 kilograms, so that would be like a $5 million contract for the year, which is pretty big on the global scale. Tilray is starting to grow a lot outdoors in Portugal as well as indoors, and they're ramping up with their sales licenses and things of that nature in Europe. So I mean, things are just getting started. But I mean, I just want to remind that we got a lot more to go in the industry, but it's a bright light right now. Things are starting to look up. The vape information stuff is kind of going to go away, it seems, as far as all that animosity towards the vaping, the vape gate and all that stuff. It just seems like it's kind of dwindling, because come legalization 2.0, vapes are going to be very big, especially with Shatter and all this other stuff. Maybe Halo Labs is going to have their Shatterizer and in Canada, and all these other new things. More stores are going to open across Ontario and Alberta and BC, Saskatchewan, Quebec. Now Hexos wants to dominate the industry for the black market, so they're selling 450 or 425 grams. So on a like an ounce, that's like 120 bucks, 115, 110 bucks, somewhere around there. It's like there's like 28 grams in an ounce. So yeah, I mean, it just depends. 28, like somewhere around $115, 120 per ounce, and then taxes. So that's pretty cheap. Like I bought in the black market like $150 ounces. So I mean, if it's pretty decent cannabis, that's a pretty good deal. Now if it's like, so I mean, that's going to bring a lot more users as well to the black market, away from the black market, and come to the legal market, legal regime. And you know, Tilray's got they're really amping up their CBD products with Anheuser Busch InBev, and you know, things are just gonna gyrate throughout and grow. Now Cronos, who knows, maybe they're gonna get more ownership by Altria soon. So just things of that nature that are coming up. Anyways, this is Compound Interest, giving you some market updates on Legalization 2.0. Keep compound that info and listening to my lingo. Shaka. Peace. I'm out.